A slave who cannot assume his own revolt does not deserve to be pitied. We must henceforth count on our own forces, on our own genius.
There's a country in West Africa called Burkina Faso. For years, it faced a silent but deadly war. Not one fought with guns or bombs, but with hunger. The people were not fighting soldiers, they were fighting empty stomachs. At the center of this struggle stood Captain Ibrahim Traore, a bold and unconventional leader. He saw the root of the problem differently. He didn't believe Burkina Faso's greatest weakness was its military. He believed it was the land that was fertile but dying of thirst. Rainfall had become unpredictable. Without water, nothing could grow. And without food, the country had to turn to others, buying grain or begging for aid. But here's the harsh truth. When you rely on others for food, you're not truly free. Those who feed you can control you. They can dictate your policies, your economy, your future. Captain Traore knew this well. He famously said, "A nation that cannot feed itself is on a leash, like a dog." You can have your flag, your anthem, your constitution, but if your people are hungry and dependent, your freedom is an illusion. So he decided to break the cycle. To him, the most powerful weapon wasn't a gun, it was water. With water you can grow crops, with crops you can feed people, and with food you can build true independence. This vision was a radical departure from the past. For decades, African nations like Burkina Faso had been pressured by wealthy countries and global institutions to borrow billions and outsource development to foreign companies. But those projects often failed to help the people who needed it most. Traore believed the road to real sovereignty wasn't in air-conditioned conference rooms. It was in the fields, the soil, the dust of Burkina Faso. And so, he declared a new kind of war, a war for the land. The first mission, irrigation, bringing life back to the earth by bringing water to it. Why now? Because the climate in the Sahel region was worsening. Droughts were becoming longer and harsher. Year after year, the country moved closer to famine. But instead of waiting for disaster, Captain Traore acted. While the world expected him to beg for aid, he shocked them with 4 words. "We'll do it ourselves." This wasn't just agriculture, it was resistance. A declaration that Burkina Faso would no longer kneel for handouts. He wanted to dismantle the global system where foreign nations and corporations profited from African hunger. Why is water so powerful? Because it's the great equalizer. It doesn't care if your nation is rich or poor. If you can capture it, store it, and direct it, you can turn deserts green. You can create jobs, feed families, and change destinies. But water doesn't move on its own. It needs a path. It needs vision. This is where the story deepens. Traore didn't just want access to water, he wanted to control it, multiply its impact, and use it to liberate his people. So the government launched a major project. They restored the Goulor Dam, a massive structure that stores river water in a reservoir. Now they had water. But where should it go? Captain Traore made a deliberate choice. He selected the Bama Plains, a land rich in soil but cursed by drought. The Bama Plains symbolized both promise and pain. It had everything except water. Until now. For years, the people of Bama had been forgotten. Government after government had promised them help, but none delivered. The land was left behind, dried up and abandoned. It became a symbol, not just of neglect, but of broken promises and lost potential. But Captain Ibrahim Traore saw something different in Bama. He saw a test, a challenge, a chance to prove that even the most forsaken parts of Burkina Faso could rise again, if only they had water. And so, when the Goulor Dam was completed and water was finally available, he sent the very first flow of that water not to an easy place, but to Bama. He chose it not because it was simple, but because it was hard. He chose it not for convenience, but for its meaning. If he could turn Bama's dusty fields green again, it would be a message to the whole country. No land is too dry. No dream is too distant. It was a bold act of defiance. And that's how the Bama Canal was born. Not as a wish or a speech, but as a real structure carved into the earth by real hands. This canal isn't just long, it's set to become the longest irrigation canal in Africa. Its waters will touch over 1,260 hectares of land for rice cultivation. That's more than 3,100 acres. An additional 70 hectares, about 173 acres, will be used to grow vegetables, and that's only the beginning. Plans are already underway to expand it by another 200 hectares. But the most extraordinary thing? It's being built by the people of Burkina Faso. In the past, such projects were handed over to foreign corporations from Europe, China, or America. These companies brought their own machines, their own engineers, and took home massive profits. But not this time. Captain Traore said no. The Bama Canal would be built by Burkinabe hands for Burkinabe futures. The engineers are local, the workers are local, the effort, the sweat, the sacrifice, all local. This was revolutionary. And Captain Traore didn't just announce it and walk away. He put the project on a deadline, 8 months. In a world where foreign-funded projects often take 5, 10, even 20 years to finish, this was nearly unheard of. But Traore knew something the world often forgets. Hungry people don't have time to wait, so the project was organized like a military campaign. Construction starts before dawn. Cement mixers never stop. Work continues late into the night under floodlights. Every delay is treated as a national setback. This isn't just a canal. It's an emergency mission to build sovereignty, and for the people of Bama, it means everything. Generations of farmers had abandoned this land when the rain stopped coming. They left for cities, chasing survival. Many believed the land was lost forever, but now they're coming back. Not to beg, but to reclaim what was always theirs. As the water returns, so does hope, so does dignity. And this isn't just a trench in the dirt. The Bama Canal is modern and high-tech. It uses solar-powered pumps. Precision valves regulate water pressure. Soon, smart monitors will track every drop to prevent waste. It's efficient, it's sustainable, it's built to last. Around the canal, new life is forming. Warehouses to store harvests, roads to connect farms to markets, water stations built not for show, but where they're truly needed. Every piece of this project is designed to be owned and operated by local people, not managed by bureaucrats in distant capital cities and not by foreign embassies. Captain Traore's vision doesn't end in Bama. This is only the beginning. The Bama Canal is a prototype, a blueprint. If it succeeds, it can be replicated across Burkina Faso, in the north, in the east, in every dry region where food insecurity has taken root. This is no miracle, it's a model. It shows that a country long dependent on others can build a new reality with its own hands, tools, and talent. But water alone isn't enough. To truly transform the nation, it needs something more. People. People to farm, people to sell, people to dream, build, and grow. This is where the next chapter begins, because when the water flows through the Bama Canal, it does more than nourish soil. It nourishes an entire economy. It begins a revolution, not of violence, but of calories, control, and confidence. Captain Traore understood this from day one. The goal was never just to move water. The goal was to grow independence. For too long, Burkina Faso's food system was held hostage, relying on foreign aid or unpredictable global markets. A drought in India, a war in Europe, a rice ban in Asia. Any one of these events could leave Burkinabe families hungry. Food had become a weapon used by powerful nations to control weaker ones, but now the fields are returning to life, and with them, so is Burkina Faso's power. The Bama Canal is more than a trench carved in dry earth. It's a lifeline, and according to estimates, this single project will allow Burkina Faso to produce an additional 50,000 tons of food every year. That's not a dream, it's based on hard data. Soil quality, climate modeling, crop selection, and projected yields. For a nation that once depended on imported rice, wheat, and vegetables to survive, this is a seismic shift. But the real story isn't just about how much food is being grown. The real story is about control. For the first time in decades, Burkina Faso is claiming food sovereignty, the right to decide what it grows, what its people eat, how much it costs, and when it arrives. No more begging for emergency shipments that come late and cost triple. No more adjusting policies to please foreign donors. No more watching helplessly as global supply chains collapse. This isn't just about nutrition, it's about freedom. Food sovereignty means the country can say no to aid that comes with strings attached. It means they can grow crops rooted in their own culture, not dictated by foreign markets. It means they can feed their people on their own terms. And that shift has triggered a quiet but profound transformation inside the government. Suddenly, farming is no longer treated as a rural afterthought. It's seen as a matter of national security. Military planners are now tracking harvest cycles. Economists once obsessed with GDP are calculating the value of food exports. Farming is no longer survival. It's strategy, it's strength, it's liberation. And the benefits are spreading across the land. Before the canal, farmers gambled on the rain. Now, with water guaranteed, they can plan their seasons, rotate their crops, and invest with confidence. Smallholder cooperatives are thriving. Women's farming groups, once stuck with dry, barren plots, now cultivate fertile, irrigated fields. For the first time, they're gaining not just food security, but economic power. Markets are changing too. With a consistent supply of fresh food, prices are falling. That fights inflation, stabilizes household budgets, and gives families the chance to spend on healthcare, education, or small businesses. 1 kilogram of locally grown rice doesn't just fill a plate, it pushes the entire country one step further from dependency. And here's what makes it even more remarkable. Technology is helping lead the way. The Bama Canal fields are now test zones for agricultural innovation. Solar-powered pumps push water with zero emissions. AI-driven systems manage irrigation in real time. Soil sensors track fertility. Drones monitor crop health from the sky. These tools were once reserved for billion-dollar farms in wealthy nations. Now, they're being used in the villages of Burkina Faso. With every efficiency gained, the grip of dependency loosens further. And that's where the transformation becomes strategic. When you can feed your people, you can't be blackmailed. You can't be manipulated by promises or threats of grain shipments. You negotiate as an equal, not as a beggar. And when your neighbors are hit by droughts and food shortages, but you have a surplus, you don't just become a survivor, you become a regional power. This is called soft power, the kind of influence that doesn't come from tanks or treaties, but from trust, respect, and self-reliance. In that sense, the canal is more than infrastructure. It's a statement, a message to the world. We are no longer waiting, we are building. But beneath all the numbers, beneath the tons of food, the megawatts of solar power, the hectares of farmland, there is a deeper revolution happening. You can see it in people's eyes. They don't wake up in the morning with fear anymore. They wake up with purpose. They go to work, not just to survive, but to build something lasting. They are the masons, the welders, the farmers, the coders. They are the new architects of a self-made nation. This story isn't only about food. It's about people, and about a return of dignity. Because filling a stomach is one thing, but restoring pride, that's the true foundation of freedom. And that is the quiet miracle of Burkina Faso. Not just that it's feeding itself, but that it's reclaiming its story. For too long, the people were told they were poor, dependent, waiting for rescue. But now, under the leadership of President Ibrahim Traore, they're becoming the authors of their own future. No foreign experts, no outside engineers, no backroom deals in distant cities. Just the people of Burkina Faso, finally empowered to do what they were always capable of, building their nation, brick by brick, crop by crop, and drop by drop. If you walk through the Bama Canal project, past the scaffolding, past the roar of machinery and the smell of wet cement, you'll hear something else. A quiet but unmistakable hum of transformation. To outsiders, the scale of the project is impressive, but what most visitors might miss is the most important part: the people. This single canal has already created over 2,000 direct jobs, but these aren't just numbers on a report. Each job is a lifeline, each salary supports a family, each task teaches a new skill, each worker is someone reclaiming their agency, their dignity, and their future. From welders shaping the steel gates that control the water's flow, to civil engineers calculating the perfect slope of the canal walls. From masons stacking stones with care, to technicians installing solar-powered pumps, every inch of progress is built by the hands of Burkina Faso people. This isn't just a construction site, it's a school, a training ground, a nation-building factory. And none of this was inevitable. In most large infrastructure projects across Africa, especially dams and canals, the typical model is well known. Foreign companies get the contracts. Foreign engineers lead the work. Locals are hired only for the most basic, low-paying tasks. The expertise and the profits leave the country. President Ibrahim Traore rejected this model completely. He ripped up the old playbook. From the very beginning, his government built a local supply chain, materials like cement and steel, sourced regionally, tools and machinery, made and maintained inside the country. Even the logistics, normally handled by international corporations, were assigned to local businesses. What does that mean? It means the money stays in Burkina Faso. It flows into workshops, transport companies, seed cooperatives, and village banks. It nourishes not just farms, but factories, tradespeople, and families. So yes, it is a canal, but it's also like the circulatory system of a growing body, pumping income, energy, and purpose across the entire nation. And beneath the data and policy shifts lies something even more powerful: pride. Talk to a 23-year-old welder at the Bama site, and he won't quote you GDP figures or water flow equations. He'll tell you a different story. He might tell you how he once scraped by in the capital, chasing odd jobs, how his family lost everything during the droughts, and how today, for the first time, he sends money home, not as a beggar, but as a provider. He isn't just earning a wage, he's rebuilding faith in his country. He is, in every sense, a nation builder. For many workers, this is the first time they've seen the government invest directly in their lives. No foreign middlemen, no broken promises, no stolen funds. That matters. Because when governments stop giving handouts and start giving paychecks, they gain something far more valuable than popularity: trust. Not blind loyalty, real, earned trust. And President Traore knows this. That's why the 8-month deadline for completing the canal wasn't just a slogan, it was a challenge, a statement of belief in the discipline, skill, and intelligence of the Burkinabe people. So far, they're passing that test with flying colors. Even the way people are being trained is changing. New vocational schools have opened near the canal site, offering fast, practical courses in the skills that matter now: canal maintenance, solar-powered irrigation, agricultural business, water hydraulics, smart farming technology. These are not temporary jobs. These are long-term careers, a pathway for young people to become technicians, engineers, and farm entrepreneurs. And with more jobs comes a powerful reversal of an old trend. For years, rural youth left their villages behind. They flooded overcrowded cities, or worse, risked their lives crossing borders, searching for any opportunity. But now, they're staying. Not because they have no other choice, but because, for the first time, they see a future right where they are. They're not spectators, they're builders of that future. And that is the real revolution: a people empowered, a land reborn, and a nation finally standing on its own feet. This is more than food security. This is freedom through labor, dignity through action, and hope written into the soil itself. And it all began with a canal.